hit subscribe. Subscribe to my guy, Uncle D. Tell him Big Bass sent you.
Spurling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas, an advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father, I have black sons. Hey man, I do what I do.
I want to see you win. And I put pressure on us men to understand how we did not get our masculinity training. And we have been doing our work, okay? But now it's time for you ladies to understand you're going to have to bet on us like you want us to bet on you. I talked to several men this week. I don't just get on here and talk shit. I have men I call around the world and I ask, what do you think about this concept? Level set me. Shout out to brother Dennis Spurling. Dennis, I'm not going to get, I don't want to tell people's business, but I'm going to tell you, high value men retire their women or make them come work for them. So ladies, what is it going to take for you to free yourself? Because you and I both know you're dying at these jobs.
Know what it means to miss New Orleans and miss.
Settling trend has emerged. The liberals have lost the presidential race. And rather than examining the shortcomings of Kamala Harris's campaign, of the media is directing blame towards black men. Black men somehow bear responsibility for this outcome as if our choices at the ballot box were an act of betrayal.
Quit breaking my heart.
Hey, Big Bass.
Ooh, quit breaking my heart. Oh,
you hate black women. You can't say you don't now.
They'll start killing you young one by one by one. They gonna start killing y'all.
When the police got your ass in the mother chokehold.
Don't you come calling black women. Don't you come calling us to come march for your ass.
Cause y'all just fucking hate women. That's all it is. Of course they wouldn't go vote for no black lady. When you a black woman surrounded by black men, what? So that's a good candidate for you? Someone who just hates everybody?
Bad guy, blame me, never faded. How you be the most loved and the most hated? Every other race you respect overrated. The greatest of all time first got created. Yeah, bad guy, blame me, never faded. How we be the most loved and the most hated. Every other race you respect overrated. The greatest of all time first got created. Ooh. You can scrub me, or even thug me. Baby, even at my worst, they still love me. How he locked up, she loyal to a known G. To leave your husband, he ain't giving you strong D. Gotta tighten up, be on your defense. A lot of debauchery popping in the deep end. See, your corners ain't shutting down, hit the bench. A lot of suckers sipping on the Kool-Aid, you a simp. Bring it back home to the streets. Like father, like son, Lil Meech, Big Meech. Like Bronny and his dad, footsteps trying to follow. We ain't gonna let you make a nigga endorsing Kamala. Black men celebrate, pop a few bottles. Middle fingers up, rest in peace, now follow. Most loved, most hated, most hated. We passing out fades, anybody wanna fade it. Be careful what you wish for, all my lovely ladies. Cause every baby terminated, God gon' make you haters. Most loved, most hated, most hated. Passing out fades, anybody wanna fade it. Careful what you wish for, all my lovely ladies. Cause every baby terminated, God gon' make you haters on. That guy, blame me, never faded. How we be the most loved and the most hated. Every other race you respect overrated. Greatest of all, first got created. Bad guy, blame me, never faded. How you be the most loved and the most hated. Every other race you respect overrated. Greatest of all time first got created. Black men, they told us they ain't even want us. No matter what is going on, put the blame on us. Kevin spoke up, then they put the shame on us.
Brother Spurling met his fiance in my mixed group. That's my wife. I'm gonna put her through law school. She's gonna become an attorney at my practice. That's the kind of shit I'm talking about.
Blizzard King defended him, they put the flames on him. Next time white women went Trump crazy. Left you standing there talking about deleting babies.
Black women so goddamn stupid that y'all just allow society to say that she's a black woman.
Not hers, Maria, Jackie Chan. You the only one that went against your man. You the only one that's fighting for every plan. You the only one that left you right where you stand. Power is a mother. Ain't it? Make a woman wanna be a nah, ain't it? That's your uncle, but she used to be your auntie. We don't wanna see you in power, that's how you paint it. Original Big Mama, original Miss Mammy, original Ma Dear.
I'm Donald Trump's new communication director because all the rest of them sorry asses got fired.
Yeah, original Black Granny. What happened to you? You fell for the eye candy. Left your black man, your black family. Took them handouts, them goodies and giveaways. Just look around your hood, see this the price you pay.
In Georgia, it was even worse. One exit poll said that 69% of white women voted for Trump. Even after he took away their reproductive rights and was found liable for sexual assault, the majority of white women voters still chose patriarchy over their own liberation.
That's it.
It's that simple.
Bad guy, blame me, never faded. How you be the most loved and the most hated? Every other race you respect overrated. The greatest of all time first got created. Ooh.
That 69% of white women voted for Trump.
Yeah, bad guy, blame me, never faded. How we be the most loved and the most hated. Every other race you respect overrated. Greatest of all time first got created. Ooh.
69% of white women voted for Trump.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Ooh.
I'm tired. Black women, it's time for us to clock out. It's time for us to clock out. I'm telling you. When all the immigrants,
Few moments
all the Puerto
later.
Ricans start getting deported, we clocked out. We not riding.
This day. On August 15th, 1947, men and women all over India rejoiced in the declaration of the independence of the country of India. Today, on August 15th, 2020, I stand before you as the first candidate for Vice President of the United States of South Asian descent. So I hope you celebrate today, and then tomorrow, I hope you join me in getting to work.
Is this your king? Is this your king? Who will become the 47th President of the United States?
The former president's comeback will be complete with a win in Wisconsin, a state that he narrowly lost 4 years ago. He's now the second president in U.S. history to win non-consecutive terms. The first was
My bad, can you guys hear me? Hit the number one button at the beginning. My
Senator
bad,
J.D.
like I'm
Vance
saying.
will become the 50th
While you all couldn't
president.
hear me, I got caught up into that video, man. That was pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. Big shout out, real powerful. In fact, shout out to Big Bass Life. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the broadcast. Big shout out to everybody in the chat room, man. Make sure you hit the number one button. I need my troll alert to be in full effect today. I want to make sure that we keep this thing kosher. But hit the number one button. Let me know you can hear me clearly. And we're going to talk about something. And brothers, sisters, I want you to brace yourselves, because after this particular broadcast, I think we're going to have to reevaluate our relationship as Black Americans. And I'm specifically talking the foundation of Black Americans, because as I have been alluding to, it seems to me that we've been infiltrated, and a lot of us are getting blamed for things that we had nothing to do with. I largely believe a lot of the beef associated with the so-called, or the bad reputation associated with out of wedlock birth, paternity fraud, the higher volume of DV, the wedding rate, the marriage rate, which has dropped significantly after 1965, has a lot to do with the fact that we have been infiltrated by Black immigrants who've been posing as foundational Black Americans. So this is why delineation is important. A lot of the beef that we have, a lot of the animosity that has been generated amongst Black Americans over the past, I would say, 60 years, probably didn't even originate with us. Okay. Now, before I get started, I want to introduce myself. My name is Dennis Spurling. I'm a podcaster. I'm an author. I'm an attorney. And largely what I do and what I have been doing is I've been an advocate for Black men. But see, here's the thing. At this particular juncture where we are, it's important that Black Americans, specifically foundational Black Americans, begin to establish our boundaries and reassert ourselves. Just like white folks are reasserting themselves. You see Trump reasserting himself or reasserting America. It's time for us to make sure we get our pound of flesh also. Now, here's the thing. I want to start off right away. Okay. And again, you see the Cash App rolling across the bottom. Don't give me anything. Okay. You don't pay me. You don't give me a dime unless you learn something. Let me say that again. You don't owe me anything. There's no charge. And I will ask you all to contribute to my journey towards 100,000. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. And I would also greatly appreciate if you hit the like button. But you don't owe me a dime unless you learn something. But if you do learn something and you're honest with yourself, you will learn something. But if you learn something, I should earn something. I'm gonna leave it at that. And I'm gonna go ahead and get straight to it because this is an important message. And what we're going to do tonight is we're going to examine this superior culture that a lot of the Black Americans are confronted with when we are greeted with our Black immigrant family who come to this country after removing themselves from their great and beautiful countries. They bring this superior culture over. Somebody type superior culture in the chat room. Somebody type superior culture in the chat room. Okay, and I want to start off right away because this needs to be said, and I'm going to say it without apology. One of the central problems foundational Black Americans have with a certain category of Black immigrants, what I call tethers, what you hear politicians now calling tethers, what you hear many members of the media calling tethers, specifically, whether we're talking about Ann Coulter or Tucker Carlson, they're referring to them as tethers now, okay? And a tether is basically someone who tethers themselves, an immigrant who tethers themselves to the Black experience and exploits it. Nevertheless, what we call tethers is not their mere presence in this country, because every Black immigrant in this country is not a tether, okay? It has to do with their posture. And to be clear, this does not apply to all Black immigrants. And I'm going to say that again, okay? It applies to a very specific type, the kind that arrives here and immediately inserts themselves into Black American business, okay? Because, see, we don't go to their country and get in their business. We don't go to Jamaica. We don't give a damn about the politics. We don't go to Ghana and worry about their financial business. And we certainly don't make comments on their cultural business. And we absolutely will never comment on their family business. Okay? Yet they come to our country and they diagnose us. Matter of fact, there are a lot of folk on the internet right now who aren't even in the United States, who've never even met a Black American in the United States, can't get here if they wanted to, and they're diagnosing our culture from overseas, correcting us, lecturing us, telling us how we should run our lives, how to structure our families, what we need to fix, and what we as foundational Black Americans need to do better. And hovering over all of it is the same claim that Black Americans don't have a culture, or in the alternative, that our culture is somehow defective while theirs is superior. And that claim is the problem. Because when you come to someone else's house talking like that, you invite inspection. And as the old saying goes, when you point a finger at someone, you got to expect that 1, 2, 3 fingers will be pointing back at you. And if anyone doubts, then go ahead and do what I just did and point your finger in the mirror and see if you don't have 3 fingers pointed back at you. that principle applies here. You don't get to lecture us without being examined. You don't get to critique without being scrutinized. You certainly don't get to claim superiority without being held to the standard you're imposing. And let's stop pretending this is happening. Again, I said, if you go online right now, you will see thousands of videos by Africans, many of them still living on the continent, posting YouTube videos and TikTok videos dissecting Black Americans, commenting on our politics, our relationships, our brothers and our sisters and our culture, our people from thousands of miles away, deeply invested in telling us what's wrong with us. And that's the same dynamic that exists when Caribbean voices, especially Jamaicans and Trinidadians and Caribbeans and hey, all of them, when these men and women, their media personalities, their influences, even some of the most visible hip hop commenters, people follow every day, right? They're constantly in Black American folks' business, constantly diagnosing us from a position of assumed authority. We didn't ask them for their input. So here's what we're going to do today, okay? Since you all are so comfortable scrutinizing Black Americans, we're going to return the favor. We're going to do it calmly, we're going to do it structurally, and we're going to do it without insults, per se. And I'm certainly not going to do and I'm going to do it in the foundational Black American way. I'm going to crack on you, okay? We're going to examine your cultures the same way you like to examine ours without our permission and without us even requesting, as if we need your advice, okay? Now, because when people tell us, I want you to understand something. When people tell me that I don't have a culture, and with the inference being that their culture is superior, and then we look up at the DNA test, and we look at the immigration records and the firsthand testimony showing rampant paternity fraud and lineage confusion and institutional silence across multiple Black countries, a serious question has to be asked. How do you claim moral or cultural superiority when you can't reliably identify who your baby daddy is, or who your husband is, or who your husband's children are? That's not name calling. That's not even anger. That's structural reality. Culture is not slogans. Culture is not pride. Culture is not an accent or ancestry or a costume. Culture is what produces outcomes. And the first outcome of any functioning culture must get right is a family formation, lineage, responsibility, and accountability. So today, we're going to break it down. We're going to go country by country. The loudest countries that always seem to have something to say, that we're going to deal with them, okay? Because superiority is not something you announce. It's something you demonstrate. And the first demonstration is simple. Know who your children are without fear, without shame, and without excuses. Now, let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and let you all see some videos, because what you all may not know, and something that I've learned, let me go ahead and put this. This is what sparked this conversation. Y'all hit the #1 button if you can hear me. This is going to be a hot one. It's going to get hot tonight. You understand me? It's going to get smoking hot tonight. Check this out. This is a little post that I saw up, and I had to comment on it. Read that. You see what that says? Last year in my Uganda, out of every 5 DNA tests, 3 didn't belong to the biological father. It caused so much DV that the authorities decided to stop DNA tests till further notice. Did you see that? This is Uganda, okay? Now, that's just one of many African countries, but here's the thing. It's not just something that is germane in Africa. It's over in the Caribbean also. So let's go ahead and take an opportunity to look at some of these videos that folks have shared with us. Y'all hit the number 1 button. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. And I'm going to go ahead and let this thing rip. Take a look at this. Let's hit this one. Let's see what we got going on here. Check this out.
In Ghana, as it has been proven by Ghanaian podcasts that 70% of firstborn children in Ghana does not belong to the man, but Ghana.
I want y'all to hear that again.
Paternity fraud is on high rise in
Listen.
Ghana, as it has been proven by Ghanaian podcasts that 70% of firstborn children in Ghana does not belong to the man, but gardener or driver. Wow. Let me explain.
70% of firstborn children in Ghana do not belong to the man.
So they say.
So they say.
Yes.
70% of the firstborn children that arose during the marriage didn't belong to the husband. 70% of the first. I want you to think about that. If you have one child with your wife in Africa, in Ghana, it's more likely than not that that child is not yours. 70% of those children were not sired by the father. So I want you, let's let these folk finish talking.
Keep moving.
Due to uncontrollable knacking among Ghanaian women, it has been proven that 70% of firstborn children in Ghana does not belong to the man, but belongs to another man. So because of this, Ghanaian men are demanding for mandatory DNA tests from their Ministry of Health. They want the government to make it mandatory for DNA tests immediately.
Now, this gentleman is talking fast, but he said the men are demanding DNA tests. 70% of the first. I want you all to conceptualize that, because we got a lot of Africans that love to come over here and tell us that we don't know who our ancestors are. Who you don't even know who your daddy is, sir. Sir, more likely than not, you from Ghana, you definitely don't know who your granddaddy is. You over here telling us what we need to do, chief. You don't know who the chief is. I'm just saying. These are what your people saying about you. Now, I don't get off into your business. You all like to get off in my business as a foundational Black American, and we just returning the favor. You all seem to know all the stats about what's going on in Compton and Alabama and Mississippi, but what's going on in your own backyard? 70%. That number is that is astronomical. Let's keep listening.
Child is born to determine the father to know who takes the child home. Now, this will help them reduce paternity fraud in Ghana, as the paternity fraud is becoming too much. So Ghanaians, make una take am easy. Jeje, una not too much. Relax. But before you relax,
enjoy your weekend.
You hear that? Relax. It's not becoming a problem, sir. It is definitely a problem, sir. It is not becoming a problem. That problem has already fully evolved. 70, but that's Ghana. Somebody type Ghana in the chat room. I know it's your return. Y'all gonna be somebody need to return them kids to their daddy. That's what they need to do. Let's keep listening to the folk tell on themselves.
It's essentially a person who poses as a Black American. However, they are either a child of an immigrant or they are of African and or Caribbean descent. The problem arises is when they come into our community, use up our community, cosplay.
Now, I want you to understand, not every Black immigrant is a Tether. Okay, she's talking about folks that's coming over here pretending to be Black American. All right, so we're not here insulting all foreign Blacks. We're not doing that. That's not what we're here. There's some it's some Black folks from overseas who are first generation, second. We cool with them. We love them. We appreciate them. That's not what we're talking about. And I think there's a consensus that, and I want to establish that because everybody wants to get offended. All right, and it's not saying that, but anyway, let's go ahead and get back to this nasty stuff they doing over there. Y'all hit the number 1 button and let me know you can hear.
Paternity fraud. Now, big ups to my real Jamaican men who have wisdom. Yeah? If you have wisdom, congratulate yourself. However, a lot of Jamaican men don't have wisdom whatsoever. I don't mean to sound harsh, but a lot of Jamaican men are bird brain individuals. Because a lot of Jamaican men, not all, a lot of Jamaican men believe that giving women money will make her loyal. Now, I want to explain something to my fellow.
Okay, so that's low self-esteem and simping right there. Basically, what this Jamaican man is saying is they think that if they pay these women's way and they give them money, they'll be loyal. And we all know that. That's not true. That's just simping to the extreme. You can't buy loyalty. Either she gonna be or she not. And if you find out she not, you need to move about. But anyway, let's let the gentleman finish. But he's trying to diagnose why there is so much paternity fraud, because Jamaica is right up there with him. Extremely high. I think Jamaica is actually number one and Nigeria is number two. And they're vying for the country with the highest paternity fraud. Let's keep listening.
Jamaican men. Like Chris Brown said, these hoes ain't loyal. If a woman is looking for a trans...
Now again, I want you Black American brothers and sisters, my foundational Black American brothers and sisters, recognize that, you know, we've always had the understanding that, you know, we had that saying, mother's baby, daddy's maybe, but it was never this bad. These people came to our country and integrated themselves into the foundational Black American group that was already here, and they brought their cultural norms. They didn't stop messing around when they hit Miami International or JFK. They brought their culture with them. And so some of the issues that we're having in the Black community, Black men are blaming Black women for. This is because we have had an influx of Black people from other countries bring their negative schisms and cultural behavior to our country. And we need to begin to first let's breathe, and then let's sit back and analyze. The next time somebody says something about Black people, when did it start? Because if it started if it popped up after 1965, that tells you a lot. That's when they start bringing immigrants from overseas here. All right, let's keep listening.
Transactional relationship, she's a hoe.
Oh.
And a lot of Jamaican men have made the mistake of getting 304s pregnant. But hear this, my Jamaican men. If she wants a transactional relationship, she's not going to be loyal to you. She will always go to the highest bidder. If you have 3 grand, then she'll go to the other man who has 6 grand. And the next man who has 10 grand. And the next man who has 100 grand. So to my Jamaican fellas, the reason why you're the number one victims of paternity fraud, because you keep getting in transactional relationships with these 304s.
Bro, the reason you're the number one victim of paternity fraud because you got an island full of 304s, brother. That's it. Okay, I mean that's it. Anytime your woman is, not only is she banging other men, not only are your wives banging other men, they are letting them get them pregnant, and they are taking those children to full term. That's not a situation you can buy your way out of. That is a cultural issue. That is long-lasting cultural inherited behavior. You can't get around that, homeboy. But let's move on to the next one, since they love talking about our culture. We're gonna take the time to talk about theirs. Y'all here because this is what they asked for. Let's go back across the water.
An uncomfortable truth Nigerians avoid. But first, we need to answer the one logical question. If a woman has the right to know who impregnated her, why does a man not have the right to know whose child he is raising? Let's stop pretending this conversation is a taboo. Paternity fraud is real in Nigeria. It happens when a man is made to raise a child that is not biologically his without his knowledge or consent. Here are the facts. Nigerian DNA testing centers consistently report that roughly 20 to 30% of men who test are not the biological fathers.
20 to 30% of the men who take a test aren't the fathers. Okay, now that I want you to just think about that. You were married to a woman and the child, 20 to 30, something's up. You take the test, it turns out it's not your child.
These are not rumors, gentlemen. These are lab results. Nigeria has no specific law that punishes paternity fraud. Many men today, they find out after years of emotional, financial.
There's no law that punishes paternity fraud. So the women basically are pushing out kids, putting them on their husbands, and there's nothing the men can do about it. You paying for these children, You're raising these children. They have your last name. Think about
psychological.
What does that do to the trust relationships between the men and women of those countries? Is this why when Nigerians come to the United States, they don't want to have anything to do with each other? I'm just saying. Let's think about it. Is that why we always hear, well, yeah, you know, I'm just asking questions. Is this is what they're bringing over? This is what these are the male-female relationships they are importing and injecting into the greater black culture here in the United States. Is it helpful or not? I'm just asking questions.
Investments. There is no nationwide government study. So the private DNA labs are currently the most reliable source of data. This is not about hate. This is not about breaking homes. This is the truth. It is about consent and accountability. If DNA tests were normalized from birth, there would be less trauma, fewer.
Shouldn't have been necessary if you love the kids. And it's not my desire to break any family up after this episode. But it's increasingly getting worse with the level of cheating and manipulations women are deliberately putting men through. They are dating multiple guys, and when there is pregnancy, they pick among the guys the one that's responsible and break the news too.
He said dating. He said they're dating multiple guys. No, what they're doing is they're having unprotected sex with multiple guys. This guy's in Accra. That's his phone number. And he says it's getting worse. You understand me? It's getting worse. Let's keep listening.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, cannot be overlooked anymore. And so these are my 5 reasons why you should get a DNA test for all your kids if you have the financial means. Number 1 is to clear your mind from all doubts. That's the primary reason. Number 2 is to ensure a continuation of your own legacy. Number 3, in my opinion, is the most crucial among the 5. It is to help you, the man, to make adjustments. Perhaps you can do something about it, if possible, before it's too late. Number 4 is to confirm if your woman is the biological mother of the child, since it has become common lately in the news on how certain doctors are swapping people's kids for others.
Lord, they can't.
And finally, to relieve your heart from future shockwave, I will seriously consider it if I were you. And for those of you who want to know where to go and get a DNA test done and how much is involved, well, you may reach out to DCC Clinic. They have a...
So here's the thing, family. You know, again, these folk always want to get in our business and they want to tell us about how we should run how we should conduct ourselves in the United States and how we have no culture and all these different things. But you know, it seems to me like they have their own issues they need to deal with. You see, it seems to me like they can't match their children with the children's father. And, you know, you probably don't have any room to move if this is an issue. Now, we're going to keep listening because it's, you know, it's important. Let's hear what this brother has to say. Hit the number 1 button if you can hear.
3 countries with the highest paternity fraud, meaning the highest jacket rate in the world. You want to stick around for number 1. Number 2.
I want you guys to remember that term, jacket. Like putting the jacket on, jacket. Listen to that term. Words have meaning. Okay? Words have meaning. He's going to define what a jacket is. If not, I have another video to define what jacket is. But words have meaning. They have cultural meaning. And the fact that they have a word to describe a child who is sired by another man and then put on another man to raise. It says a lot about the culture. He's talking about Jamaicans. Let's keep listening.
3, the country with the most jacket, the most paternity fraud. Number 3 is Canada. Standing at 2.8%. It is bad, but it is not too terrible. Canada is number 3. Number 2, Nigeria. Ah boy, 30%. That means 1 in 4 man a mine jacket in the country of Nigeria. Can you believe that? 30%. It is crazy, yo. How paternity fraud is taking over the world, especially.
No, it's not taking over the world, sir. It's taking over Jamaica, Nigeria. It's taking over Ghana and Uganda. Okay, it's not taking over the world. This Jamaica. It's taking over Jamaica, sir. Y'all don't know who y'all kids belong to. That's a problem, sir. That's a problem. A man look like he is from, you know, Red Rag representatives of South Central LA. This dude is dressed like it is 1997. But let's go ahead and keep listening.
In the black countries, crazy. Number one, the country with the highest jacket rate. The highest paternity fraud. This is not my opinion. This is facts and data shown by DNA testing. Jamaica, they are number one in a jacket giving paternity fraud. So woman in a Jamaica responsible for the highest jacket.
But hold on a minute, brother. But you also have men in Jamaica who are having sex with married women and getting them pregnant. It's all y'all down there. You can't just put it off. I mean, if a woman lay down and open her legs, she's not gonna get pregnant because of the air. I mean, it's no coconuts that's gonna fall out of a tree and get her pregnant. It's a dude, a blood clot. Would you say a ras with a bamboo that comes down there and put the seed in her. She knows and he knows, so that means both of y'all are scandalous. All y'all are scandalous. I mean, I'm just saying, you can't just blame the woman not getting pregnant. No, the men are impregnating married women and not even bothering to come back and see if a little coconut, little peanut head child came out of there 9 months later, sir. You can't. It's all y'all down there doing scandalous stuff, and if it's that high, if the paternity fraud rate is that high, that means all y'all doing it. None of y'all know who y'all daddy is. Okay, that's what it looked like to me. None of y'all know who your papa is. I mean, don't blame the women, sir. That's see again, fellas, ladies, my foundation black. I want y'all to listen. This is what came over here after the Hart Seller Immigration Act. This is the culture that they brought with them. Keep listening.
Rate the highest paternity fraud in the world.
In the world, I know.
And remember now, it's not my opinion. It is facts. Go look it up.
We did.
Standing at 34.8%, almost 35%. That means 1 in every 3 men. A minor jacket. A pitney that is not his.
Pitney means small child. Pitney. Go ahead.
So hold on. All them always a cuss man. And I say man wicked and man bad. A man give bone and man do this. Fine. But how can a woman or a country like Jamaica be responsible for the highest jacket rate?
Because how can you be responsible for the highest paternity fraud? That means y'all doing a lot of sexing. That means you're nasty. Somebody type nasty in the chat room. That's why I put it out there. Okay, I know y'all don't like me saying, I'm just speaking the language that I was raised to speak. That's nasty. You out there being nasty. Y'all nasty. You out there having sex with other people's wives and husbands and getting them pregnant. You leaving evidence. You're nasty, sir. Your culture's not superior. It's nasty. That's what's going on. That's how it happened. All y'all down there nasty, doing nasty stuff. You don't even keep it in the back room. It's y'all got the record. The highest record in the world. Y'all got the fastest sprinters. Y'all swimmers are swimming. Okay, y'all got an undefeated. Your pullout game is the weakest of all the other countries in the world. That's what's going on, sir. That's what's going on. I'm gonna let you finish.
Because the last time I checked, I know that a woman have to open her leg and a penis have to penetrate her.
Sir.
And sperm release.
Sir, this is a family friend. We do not need human sexuality class right now. Sir, we don't need that. Okay? We don't need you to explain to us, but we know how it happened. Okay? We know how it happened. The question is, why or y'all having sex with married women and getting them pregnant? That's what we want to know, and then not telling the husband. And you wonder why the rate of DV is so high in some of these countries. I'm just saying, you know, we want to blame the man for getting angry, but I see why a lot of these dudes are mad now. I can tell.
Within 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. Sperm.
He said 2 minutes. So all he needed 2 minutes, and the swimmers all in there. Boy, y'all something. I'm gonna let this cat
into that female, and she get pregnant, and she give that pitney to her boyfriend or her husband, knowing that pitney is not for that man.
She don't know who that baby is for. She could have had sex with a whole bunch of different men. She just picked one. She just picked the one with look, man.
Whether knowing or unknowing, I still cheated.
Unknowing.
It is crazy, yo. It is diabolical.
You know just what you're doing.
I'm gonna make a video about it.
Go ahead and tell us what Jack.
Them for criminalize it
in Jamaica, and we may have ignored it for a while and just take it for.
We have a serious problem in Jamaica, and we've been ignoring it for a while. But y'all always focused on our problems. Y'all always trying to tell Black Americans that we don't have culture. You got issues with. Why do y'all get in our business and you have your own issues? You know you have this problem.
A nice punchline when we're giving jokes, or a nice punchline in a song.
Funny.
But we have a problem, and the
What's
problem
the
is paternity fraud,
Woo-wee.
aka jacket. We got a jacket problem in Jamaica.
Jacket problem. They got a name for it.
Many of us going around thinking that the children are ours. I mean, we really check it out. They're not really ours.
They're not yours, sir.
Research found that 30% of Nigerian men are fathering children that aren't theirs. Nigerian women ranked second highest on paternity fraud in the whole world. And guess who ranks number one?
Jamaica.
Jamaican
women have a paternity fraud cuckoldry rate of 62%.
Shout out to my man Downrange. You the first person to join the membership, man. I appreciate you, man. You the first person to, I guess, officially you be the first person to contribute to the super chat, man. Big shout out to you, man. Thank you for being number one. Did you hear what these people are saying? I mean, it's a problem. They're just out there nasty, man. Somebody type nasty in the chat room. Y'all nasty out here. Why y'all being so nasty? It's terrible. Terrible, terrible. Let's keep listening.
To get someone else's kid than your own. You're banging up a Jamaican girl.
I laugh after we were on the world, though. Jamaican man. You know, say one time, Jamaican man was the envy of the world with the other man them cause, you know.
No, Jamaican men were never the envy of the world, sir. They were never the envy of the world. So I'm just going to put it out there. Never the envy of the world. It's just all in your mind. And it sounded to me like, you know, y'all, the title was unearned.
With this and with that and with nice and nobody can do it like a Jamaican man. Yeah, but now we become a laughing stock right now. They say we are paternity fraud. It's a big thing right now.
Yeah, buddy. Like y'all got your own problems. I don't know why y'all up here talking to us about what we got going on, but let's see what else people have to say about this subject matter.
We have about 4 or 5 kids with him wife, and him say him big daughter had a school assignment and they were doing some family.
Okay, she's speaking this Jamaican patois. Okay, and I have taken some cruise ships to Jamaica. Okay, and so I can interpret it. Okay, I've been on the cruise ship, you know that, before y'all start fighting. Okay, so I'm gonna tell y'all what she's saying. I know you all don't like me to interrupt, but I'm gonna try to help y'all understand what the young lady said. Shout out to Urban Eagle. Thank you for that $2. Let's go ahead and get in here. Y'all make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's go ahead and listen. Go ahead, ma'am.
I'm just see a video with a man where have about 4 or 5 kids with him wife, and him say him big daughter had a school assignment and they were doing some family tree thing and DNA testing and whatever.
Okay.
And
what she said was, big daughter, her oldest child, this man and his wife, her oldest child had a test, some sort of schoolwork to do, and the project involved doing some DNA tests. I'm sure at that point, And once the mama got wind of that, she was like, oh my God. I'm sure she was excited for all the wrong reasons. Okay. All right. Now let's go back. We're gonna get back in here. I want everybody to breathe. I need y'all to listen faster so I don't have to, interpret all the way. Okay, y'all I want y'all to focus your your pineal glands, line up your chakras so you can align yourself with this fast talking Jamaican patois. Okay, so y'all just focus, burn some incense, contact your ancestors who passed through the Caribbean before they got to Alabama, and let's go ahead and focus in. All right, oldest daughter, homework assignment. Boom.
He came back to say that he was not related to her. Ooh. So he took the other two of the other kids to get them tested, and they were also not his.
Damn.
But he was so fearful that none of them were his that he didn't even test the last one.
Damn.
So, anyways, when he realized that none of the kids actually had the same dad, so this woman has been cheating on this man with several different men, right? But my question is this though.
Okay. This man had 5 kids. He found out the oldest daughter wasn't his child because of a fluke school assignment. He took other 2 kids to see if they weren't his child also, and it turns out they weren't his kids either. And he was like, I'm just not gonna get my other 2 kids tested because it's gonna break my heart. And so, but come to find out, the wife had been cheating not only with one man, but all the kids. All the kids were by a different man. This man got 5 kids by his wife, and all the kids, you got a different baby. I mean, are you just going down to and picking dudes up at the damn beef patty shop, at the jerk chicken shop? You just sleeping with everybody, letting them knock you up, man? You like a saloon door. Everybody can go in and out of there. Damn. You like the little tissue in the men's bathroom. Everybody can get some of that. Let me hold that. All right, go ahead. Put that back. Damn, girl. It's just all bent out of shape. All the kids by a different man. The man, and what do you say after that? This is the superior. Somebody type superior culture in the chat room. This is the culture that they tell Black Americans that we don't have. Do we want this culture? I mean, we haven't even got halfway through the broadcast. Is this the culture that we as Black Americans want to emulate? I don't think so. I don't think we want to emulate this culture. Child support is too high here in America. Is this the culture that they brag on? We've talked about Nigeria. We've talked about Jamaica. We talked a little bit about Ghana. We're going to get to Uganda in a minute. Is this the culture that we want to emulate? They don't even know who their children's fathers are. And it's open as no, they got a word for it. It's called jacket. I'm just saying. Just keep listening.
He never said none of the people never look like him. For the men who are with women who have multiple kids with them and none of the kids them don't look like Una, and everybody has to say, go and get a DNA test done. What is it that you guys are afraid of?
She's saying, look, you got kids, but everybody's telling you that these kids don't look like you and you don't want to get a test because men love these children. These are their children. They love these children. They don't want to deal with that. I understand that. I tell my kids right goddamn now, let me find out one of y'all ain't mine. You out of here. You got to go. I'm sending you straight back to your mama house. Be like, you don't belong here, sir. Praise God. Go find your real daddy. Cause I don't love you like that. Okay. I don't love you like that. I'm with you, but I don't love you like that. You got to go. You see? Oh no.
Are you guys don't love on the money? What is it you guys are afraid of? Are you guys scared that it's gonna come back and you're gonna realize that you're infertile and you really can't have any kids?
No, they don't want to get their heart broken. And see, she hit on something. Are y'all afraid? She see how she shift the blame on the Jamaican men? Are you afraid that you're infertile? And that's why you don't want to go get tested because it's going to turn out she had to do it because if she didn't go have a baby by these other men, then she wouldn't have children at all. You just going to shift the blame on. This is the type of stuff that they brought to the foundation of Black America because this is the type of delusion and blame shifting that they had brought to the United States of America with them when they came here. This is the mentality. This is that superior culture they always bragging on.
Is that what you guys are afraid of? Because I can't fathom it. I know quite a few people who me I tell them say go do DNA testing or go do DNA test card. The pitney don't look like you know. The child does not look like you.
You know what you're saying?
The pitney not have nothing for you. And then just refuse. And sometimes the women have more than one kids for them. And it's so obvious, it's so blatant that the pitney don't look nothing like you. And then they refuse to do a DNA test. Men who have this gut feeling, cause I feel like somewhere in our gut on kind of know. Anyway, for the story,
some of them don't know, baby. They don't know. They just trust their women. They simps, and they think she wouldn't lie to me. And you heard what the man said earlier. He's paying all the bills. Surely she wouldn't be out there giving that wop to somebody else. She wouldn't be out there giving that wop to somebody else. Now, I know. Okay, I pay all the bills. I'm a Jamaican Kingston. I'm a man. They're very proud people. These Jamaicans are very proud of themselves. They love them, your Bob Marley, Marcus Garvey. I get it. But you shouldn't be proud of your old lady, because your old lady is out there giving that wop to somebody else. Okay, that's what she's doing. She's down there giving that wop to somebody else. And, this is the problem. But you all will constantly want to tell us that, we Black Americans are ignorant. Maybe y'all should just work harder. Somebody type work harder in the chat room.
Said his wife end up, unaliving herself. And him never get the last one tested, but boy, brother, Anna, you're pitting that night, and none of them are yours. Jaja. Hey, woman, no wicked in some amount. Hey, no wicked in some amount. Yo.
It's wicked. I know you
dangerous.
Wicked. I know.
Hey, woman, we give your mother a jacket, man. You know them with him. It's a dangerous girl. Anyways.
Let's keep listening to these people talk about these issues that they have. Hit the number 1 button if you can.
I say, I have big case. Ama man no any UK abine. Now, okofa ne yere every Africa, Nigeria.
Now again, she's speaking one of those local Nigerian dialects. But because I'm me and who I am, okay, and I speak niggeration universally, I'm gonna tell y'all what she's saying. I speak all the accents, so I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all what she said. Go ahead, ma'am.
Eba UK, okofa oba ne ba UK no. Oba ne se no wanyim. Ba ne nyim e no de ne bae. No ko Nigeria eko gusu ntia nam so ma ba ne nyim ya no. And was saying ye na yera nyemode or the banner by UK ama bana babewo na obana be wo wie ye na DNA test ba out no e do hu say akola no enye ne ba na mom akola no ye be ma wo Nigeria be ma no ti Nigeria mom ne ba any akola no so now any
UK being on the slave ship trying to figure out what each other's saying.
True na juma say no so no na ne DBS, the DBS record, so a damage. And I'm so I'm a mammy no I report to Nikuno ama UK aban say Nikuno no a repuno. No ka say ya asam no court or mushishim say nyame amoa Nigeria ni man na the name go back to Nigeria for rape. Ne yire ohun DNA test say akola ba no okofa ba ni free Nigeria ba ye no. I know about him now.
Basically, something's going in Nigeria with some DNA tests. That's basically what she's saying. Okay, did y'all hear that? Something in Nigeria is going on with some DNA tests. We're gonna table that and get some folk in here to speak English, because I don't know what the hell that lovely lady is saying. But let's go back to the broadcast. Let's go here.
Is number 1 when it comes to paternity fraud globally, and Nigeria is number 2. However, there are other countries on the list for having high rates of paternity fraud. Those other countries include South Africa, Ethiopia, Lesotho.
Oh, hold on. South Africa, Ethiopia, Lesotho. All those are African countries where they have all these superior cultures. Let's keep listening.
And the United States of America.
I know, but that's because the people came over here. Y'all done came over here on us. Okay, let's keep 100.
These are the countries with the high rates of paternity.
Why you didn't include Jamaica and Ghana, and you skipped a couple? You didn't include Jamaica and Ghana and Uganda. You skipped a couple, sir, ma'am.
Paternity fraud across the world. However, one of my followers sent me this video by a Ghanaian podcast. Watch the video and I'll be right back.
70% of firstborn children in Ghana do not belong to the man.
So they say.
So they say.
Yes, so
keep moving.
I definitely believe that the estimates being given for Ghana as having a 70% rate of paternity fraud when it comes to firstborns is quite accurate. Last year,
I mean, how do you have sex with another man after you get married to give birth to this other man's child? Is that the ex-boyfriend? I mean, are the ex-boyfriends of these Ghanaian wives sneaking in the marital home and having sex and impregnating their ex-girlfriend who got married? I mean, this is mess. I mean, are they just doing it for the plot? I mean, is that what's going on? I'm just saying. I mean, this is some scandalous, treacherous behavior out here. I mean, golly, this is the motherland. This is what's going on in the motherland. Let's move on to the next one. I got to get to my broadcast because I'm not going to be out here all night. But again, you all insist upon talking about foundational Black Americans and telling us about our culture, right? Y'all always got something to say to us about what we got going on. And so again, I'm taking the opportunity.
I would say children you did take care of for many years, no be your own children.
My marriage spoiled 2022 after I discovered, say, 2 of my 3 kiddies, then them no be my own. 12 years of marriage.
So this is a broadcast they doing about. This is a problem that they have over there. This man has said 2 of the 3 kids that I have in my marriage are not mine. Right? You hear what this man is saying?
Some strange reason I go do DNA where I can find out, say, the kiddies no be my own, Charlie. 14 years of marriage, you go feel imagine what's then at the few as I come discover, say, the kiddies no be my own.
That's be the reality of most people lately.
Look, I'm gonna go ahead and put the link in the chat room. I want all the people from the African, all you Jamaicans and folk, I want y'all to come in here and help explain the paternity fraud in your countries and tell us about explain it. I want y'all to look, I'm gonna put the link in the chat room, explain the paternity fraud, and let's talk about your culture. I'd like to know what in your culture, your superior culture, come on in. We need to have this conversation. Come on in. I don't very rarely let people in, but I want to talk about your culture. I want to talk about this superior culture. The link is in the chat room. And I would love for you all to come in here and explain to my audience, because we foundational Black America, we don't know much about you all. Okay, we eat you, we like your oxtails. Okay. I've eaten at a couple of Nigerian restaurants, very hot food. Service is not always the best, but the food is very hot. And I don't mean warm hot, I mean spicy hot. So we like to get all you folk in here, all you Black folks from around the diaspora. I'm extending an olive branch to you all here today. And I'd like you all to come in and explain to us Black Americans, because we know y'all have this education and most educated and whatnot, and superior. I want you all to come in and explain to me why these kids don't know who their daddy is. Okay, I want you to tell us about your ancestors. I want you to tell us about your ancestors, but here's the catch. You can't tell us about ancestors that you haven't actually took a DNA test for, because that might not be your ancestors, especially if you're the firstborn child, right? So the link is in the chat room, and I'm gonna need you all to come on in here, come on to the front of the room. I want to get all my Nigerians and Ugandans and Jamaicans. Come on in now. Your return, I want y'all to return. We're gonna try to help y'all return those kids to their real daddies. That's what we're gonna try to help y'all do. But my goodness, this is interesting, right? This is some interesting stuff. Let's keep listening and learning.
Yes, in the world. Yes, it is Nigeria and Jamaica. This year, Nigeria will be #1. Next year, it will be Jamaica. But Nigeria is very underreported. Do you know over 78% of firstborns that are taken for paternity tests do not belong to the husband?
The first child.
Yes, the first child. There are some. The last one we did, all the children, not one, belong to the man. 4 children. The man is in the hospital now. He collapsed. That one is it.
Found out that all 4 of his kids wasn't his, and he collapsed in the hospital. This is what y'all doing to the men in Nigeria. Nigeria and Jamaica are running neck and neck first, and who's gonna be first and who's gonna be second. I need y'all to come in here and explain stuff. I need y'all to come explain what's going on. I need you. Look, you know, Uncle D got love for you, baby. I'm not messy either. I'm not messy. See, look how not messy I am. Praise God. I want y'all to come in here and speak to us, because we also know you all are very Christian countries. We know that Nigeria is very Christian, and our president has taken a liking to you all, and he actually he dropped some missiles on some people that was hurting Christians. So we want to have a Christian conversation about why all these kids popping up for men that is not the husband. We need to know what Bible you all are reading down here, okay? But let's keep listening to the people telling us.
Even not this matter. Let us leave that. Nigeria's population is over 200 million. Look at how many people are in Jamaica. We dwarf them. Jamaica, how many? What is that? Maybe Lagos and Ogun State is more than Jamaica. My issue is, men, you should be careful. This kind of ridiculous relationships with some women that you get into, and you.
Sir, again, y'all keep blaming the men. You saying that the men need to be careful because the women are bad. But sir, here's the thing, sir. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with that. If the women are bad, what do we say about the men who are purposely getting these married women pregnant? Are they good? I think not, sir. I think not. You can't just say, oh, these women out here, these married women out here having sex with these men. These women have a choice. They know they were married. Who's more responsible? The married woman who opens her legs up and lets another man get her pregnant? She knows she's married. The man might not even know the woman is pregnant. So we can't just blame the women, sir. The women don't get pregnant by themselves, sir. I'm just saying, let's keep listening, sir. Let's not shift this blame.
Know that this woman is trouble. I have another issue I want to deal with.
Whilst I am not abreast with the current paternity fraud rate in Nigeria, I know that Jamaica is number 1 at 70% paternity fraud rate compared to Nigeria at 60%. I mean, I looked at this data a couple of years ago, so I'm not sure what the current data is, but I wanted to pinpoint some of the inconsistencies in understanding how data works. In the comment section, a lot of people were comparing Nigeria's population size to Jamaica's population size, alluding to the fact that because Nigeria's population...
We're going to get you out of here.
When I say that paternity fraud is not simply because of cheating, I needed to have defined cheating within this context. In Ghana and many African countries, when you're a woman and you get married, everybody starts watching your womb.
Everybody's watching your womb. Obviously, they're not watching you close enough. If everybody's watching, you still able to get pregnant by a man who's not your husband, ma'am. They must be watching with both eyes closed, ma'am. I'm just saying, let's keep listening.
There are womb watchers in Ghana and other African countries. And so if you're not showing signs of being pregnant within the first year of marriage, it becomes problematic. And some women have gone 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, no pregnancy. And most African men think that they can all father children, and so they are not inclined and persuaded to go get a medical check.
So hold on a minute. You saying it's the men? Is she about to say it's the men's fault that the women are going out cheating and getting pregnant? Is that what she's saying? Is that what you about to say, ma'am? You saying it's the men's fault that these women are forced to go out and get pregnant by another man? That's what you're trying to say. Let's listen to it. Let's see if she really says that.
And when that happens, the only way for the woman to be sure if she's not the problem is to outsource. Try somebody else to ensure that she's not the one who has the problem. So when I use...
So the woman has to go out. Her husband's unable to get her pregnant. So she needs to go out to see if it's her or him. Okay, because we got a lot of Nigerian doctors over here. So you saying that they can't do some fertility tests to determine whether or not she got to go and go put that thing in a line of fire? That's what you're saying? She got to go put that thing in a line of fire, see if she can get pregnant. And then once she gets pregnant, it's not me, it's him. And just had a baby and tell him it's his baby. I'm just trying to understand this logic. I mean, I'm trying to understand this. So let's say hypothetically, you having a hard time sleeping at night. And so, it's your bed. Maybe it's your bed. So you go break in somebody else's house and go to sleep in their bed. Is that what you're saying, ma'am? I'm just trying to understand the logic.
Cheating in this context, perhaps I should have defined it that it is not the purposeful action to deceive your husband. Cheating in this context does not include the purposive, consistent action to deceive your husband.
But baby, you got women. How many? You got women with 5 different kids with 5 different baby dads. How many times does she need to confirm that she's fertile and the husband is not? I mean, if the woman is married to a man, okay, and the first baby ain't his, then the second, the third, and the fourth baby is not his. How many times does she need to confirm that she's fertile and the husband's not? I mean, I don't know. We need to do do-overs. This is a very expensive set of do-overs.
But perhaps you have been pushed to the wall such that the only option you have is to try somebody else to ensure if you have the capacity as a woman to get pregnant. Because that's
the only option you have is to go later. Well, why didn't you tell your husband that that's what you plan to do? Why are you doing it in secrecy? And I'm just saying now, Juju 10452, you're gonna have to come in the chat room. You're gonna have to go ahead and follow the link. You said, who's this Timu Tariq Nasheed? Bro, we only got room for one grifter in the bandwagon. So here's the thing, you got a lot to say behind the screen. You're gonna have to come in here and screen and show your face. We need you to come on in here and cam up. We need you to come on in here and cam up, sir. You got to come in. If Juju 10452 doesn't cam up, y'all put him in timeout. You got 3 minutes, sir. All my wrench mob. You got to get to action. Get your wrenches. You got to come in here. You got a lot to say. I need you to come on in.
The African context, pregnancy, reproduction, and procreation is a burden that falls directly on the woman. That is what I mean. And guys,
but she's a wife, right? I mean, why is this not known? I mean, I think that's all women that we know women get pregnant. I mean, right? Okay.
Not saying this to say that I don't hold women accountable. I do hold women accountable.
Obviously not, sir.
Some women know that the father they're giving to this child is not biologically connected. But there are some women who also do not know. Because sometimes a woman will break up with a man and then enter a relationship, and all of a sudden she's pregnant. And then that man that she's currently with would...
You hear all this explaining that's going on, all these gymnastics.
Think it is his child and marry her, only for it to turn out that that is not his child. When I say that paternity fraud is not always because of cheating, I am not saying that to not hold women accountable. I am saying
Get on out of here.
I'm here trying to blend this level that insists on being left out. I wanted to chime in on the paternity fraud situation going on in Jamaica. And I want to say this is nothing new. This is absolutely nothing new. Women claiming the wrong father for their kids has been going on for a very, very, very long time. And I just want to tell the story about the time when I questioned my own paternity. So I was an adult, getting ready to move to the US.
But she's saying she didn't know who her daddy was. Your mama was out there doing some stuff. Okay.
My stepmother did the petition for my dad. And then I was on that petition. So we went to the embassy for our green card interview. We went to the U.S. Embassy in Jamaica in Kingston for a green card interview. Daddy and I went on the same day, and he was approved that day, but I wasn't. Now, for context, I've been living with my dad, or I lived with my dad since I was like a kid, maybe like 2 or 3 years old. So this man raised me, right? So his thing was approved, mine wasn't, because they said that I needed to do a DNA test. And I was thoroughly confused. But then I thought, okay, maybe it's because I added daddy's name to my birth certificate late, because I didn't do that, I think, until I was an adult. And I don't know exactly how it works in Jamaica, but I think that if the dad isn't present to sign the birth certificate, it's going to be processed without the dad's name on it. But anyway, that was never an issue for me. My father raised me. There was never any question of paternity for me prior to this moment. So when they told me that I would have to do a DNA test before the petition on my behalf would be approved, I think that did something to me mentally. So as we were going home, and I was telling daddy that, you know, it wasn't approved, they want me to do a DNA test, and I don't know how I feel about it. And, you know, if anybody knows my daddy, he makes fun of every situation, because he was like, oh, how could they question that? Your head is just as big as mine. Like, we look alike, all these things. Anyway.
Oh, baby.
So it was about $62,000 to do the DNA test. And at the time, I did not have the money. So I decided to sell, I think it was a furniture set that I had that I decided to sell. I think it was a 2 nightstands, a dresser, a chest, and I don't think I sold the bed. But anyway, I decided that to pay for this paternity test, I was going to have to sell my furniture, because that's the only way I was going to be able to come up with $60,000 just like that. So I did that. But while I was, you know, going through the process, I decided to call my mother, and I was like, hey, mommy, do you have anything to tell me? And she's like, Boa. I said, well, I want to know if there's a chance that not because he raised me. Like, almost all the things I know, I've learned from him. So tell me now that daddy's not my daddy. And in typical Jamaican fashion, what kind of foolishness that you ask me? No, other man. I never sleep with no other man. Of course, big your father, of course, big your father. It's okay, mom, I'm trying to offend you, know, because one of the most the results would come back and daddy's not my father. Anyway, I talked to him about it, and he was like, listen, you're now an adult. I've raised you this entire time. Regardless of what the results say, you are my daughter. And I'm thinking, why would he say this though? Like, regardless of what the results say? No, I want to know that I'm your daughter. But I thought it was so sweet. And I was like, regardless of what the results say, you're my daughter and nothing is going to change. And that was like, oh my God, I really, really love this man. Anyway, long story short, daddy's my daddy. I really don't know what I would have done. I think I would have resented my mother somewhat, and then I would wonder who my real father is. It was just a lot. It was just a lot to deal with. But, you know, while this was happening to me, I really did do some Googling and found out that this has been happening for a very, very long time. There are a lot of men who do not find out that their children are not biologically theirs until they're like in the process of petitioning for those children to move to the US. And I honestly support DNA testing at birth, because this isn't fair. This really isn't fair. I have a son, and I would be extremely upset if I found out that he was unknowingly fathering a kid that's not his.
All right. So anyway, I think I've gone a long way to prove that this is actually a real problem in these black immigrant cultures, okay? And that has been my whole point. Now, here's the thing, and this is what I want to deal with. There's a growing class of black immigrants who come to the United States and they feel entirely too comfortable speaking down to black Americans. They don't come quietly. They come judgmental. They tell us their cultures are superior. They tell us we are broken. They tell us we're undisciplined, we're dysfunctional. They tell us our families failed, our values failed, our men failed, our women failed, and that they represent some higher moral order. So let me ask the question plainly without softening it. How dare you? How do you land on American soil, look black Americans in the face, and pass judgment on our culture when in your own countries you can't reliably identify who your children belong to? Because see, look, fam, the first thing that's important in any culture is family formation, who you belong to. If you can't answer that question, you have no business lecturing anyone about morality, discipline, or values. And yet, across multiple black immigrant origin societies, the same places that they leave to come here, whether we're talking about Jamaica, Nigeria, Ghana, Uganda, Ethiopia, South Africa, they're having open debates, and we're hearing firsthand testimony and reviewing DNA laboratory data showing paternity failure rates ranging from 30 to 70% in tested samples. That's not a cheating issue. That's not just a few bad actors. That is a system-wide breakdown. When paternity is assumed instead of verified, when male fertility is treated like mythology instead of medicine, when women are pressured to produce, when they think they're pressured to produce children by cheating, that's some serious issues. And here's where black Americans need to be crystal clear. We didn't lose lineage because we lack values. We lost lineage because of slavery, because our people were kidnapped and brought to this country in the hulls of ships, and we were purposely separated. See, our family records were destroyed by law. It was destroyed by force. It was destroyed by design. Our lineage was attacked externally. What we see these Africans and Jamaicans describing, okay, is something very different. They have an internal tolerance of this uncertainty. They're doing it on purpose. They're purposely getting pregnant by other people. Those things are not the same. They're destroying their lineage on purpose. And there's no moral equivalent. Cultural superiority requires accountability. It requires stable family structures, reliable transmission of identity. You talk about you from this tribe and that tribe. You don't even know who your daddy is. You damn sure don't know who your granddaddy is, and you certainly don't know who your great granddaddy is. Talking about what tribe you from. These same people claim superiority to defend assigning us the name Akata. And then these same folk try to shame men and punish men for seeking DNA verification. That type of hypocrisy is blatant. You can't claim discipline and moral structure and family integrity while simultaneously arguing that men should not know who their children are. That's not discipline. That's managed denial. Now, let's go country by country, okay? Jamaica, got a lot of Jamaicans here. Shout out to the yard man. You from Jamaica, let's see your flag. Somebody type Jamaica in the chat room. Let's hear where you from. If you from Jamaica, go ahead and type Jamaica in the chat room. Go ahead. I want y'all to go ahead and put your flags up. I want y'all to be proud of your countries. All the Jamaicans, come on to the front of the room. Let us know where you from. Go ahead, I want the Jamaicans to come to the front of the where y'all at. I want to talk to the Jamaicans because when the discussion turns to Jamaican, the Chone, you know, we're gonna have to talk about it. This is not something we talk about in the abstract. It's not theoretical. Jamaica is specifically mentioned. It's named directly, repeatedly as the global outlier of paternity fraud. It's not a rumor. It's not an insult. It's a structural, cultural failure. Okay? No, let me say it like this. It's a structural failure of lineage and trust, and it has reached a level of cultural normalization. And that matters because Jamaicans they don't come to the United States quietly. They loud. They bring the music. They're proud. They got their flags. They love telling us about their little island and how superior it is. Superior culture, superior values, superior families, superior discipline. That's the sales pitch. But when you strip away the accent, the bravado, and the constant chest thumping, what you find underneath is something quite scandalous. What you see happening by Jamaicans themselves is not being done by outsiders. It's not isolated. It's cheating. It's systematic. It's a systematic breakdown, a national environment where biology, legal responsibility, and masculine authority no longer line up in a reliable way. The numbers, are what they are. And depending on the source, Jamaicans describe as having known paternity rates ranging from 1/3 to more than 1/2 of the people tested. You understand? I mean, in Jamaica, the problem isn't even hidden. I mean, behind some sort of polite language. It has a name, jacket. And that matters. We don't even have a name for children born. We got the word bastard, but bastard is a biblical word. Jacket is the word. Cultures don't invent slang for anomalies, for one-offs. They invent slang for behaviors that are common, repeated, and understood. Jacket is not whispered. You heard multiple people talk about it. It's joked about. All right? It's warned about. It's passed from man to man like a survival tip. Listen to that Jamaican man. Listen to themselves. 1 in every 3 men is minding a jacket. That's what he said. In other words, 1 in every 3 men is taking care of a child that's not his own. And you're more likely to raise another man's child than your own. That's what these people are saying. In Jamaica, if you have a child by a Jamaican woman, you're more likely to be raising a child that's not your own, man. That is outrageous. And these people got the nerve to come up here and lecture us about culture. I mean, think about that. The women are literally, the father is not selected because he made the child, but because he can maintain the household, because he can pay the bills and he can provide legal cover. So that's not even a momentary lie. It's a sustained deception, and it's the cultural norm. Some of these women, they take the men to court for child support for children they know aren't theirs. They use the legal system to enforce financial responsibility under false pretense. And guess what they do? They rely on their cultural taboos. Shout out to Jalen Simmons. They rely on their cultural taboo that discourages men from questioning paternity out of fear that if the child is not theirs, it'll seem like they can't have children, so they'll be less than a man. You see that catch-22? They got these, they get these dudes to wrap their masculinity up into these children that they call jackets. So if he can't have, she went out of, look at how they bind these men. Think about that. You can't question these women as to whether or not the children is yours, because if they aren't actually yours, that basically means the woman had to go out and get impregnated by some other man because you weren't man enough to get her pregnant. Damn, that is insidious. That is damn near diabolical. The mind trip. Somebody said nefarious, insidious, diabolical. Basically, real men don't ask for DNA tests. In other words, questioning paternity is framed as weakness. It's insecurity. It's disrespect. And according to these accounts, the shame is not accidental. It is a mechanism that keeps the system running. The silence is enforced socially and not just legally. You understand what I'm saying, man? Think about that, man. And the men aren't innocent. The Jamaican men, you aren't innocent either. You should be criticized as hard, because you should be harshly criticized. Because you cats, this would not happen if you men weren't down there and you had the issue of chronic womanizing and having these transactional relationships and confusing money with loyalty. That's what your own people said. They literally are entering arrangements where exclusivity was never established. Yet you expect fidelity when pregnancy occurs. And when doubt creeps in, these same men refuse a DNA test because they trust, but they're afraid. You understand? They're afraid of confirmation. They're afraid of being humiliated, being made fools out of, afraid of tearing down the life. It's the life that they've built under this lie. Pride becomes denial. Denial becomes sabotage. And so the loop closes. You are literally financing a family built on uncertainty. I mean, golly, this is where the simping came from. You got kids growing up with stories that ain't true. You got women exploiting protections built on silence. And when the truth finally arrives, because you got to go to the United States and you know, we ain't going for it. The American consul's like, nah, you're going to have to get that big head baby a test. Immigration tests just blow that whole thing up. It detonates it. The family collapses, identities fracture, and trust evaporates. So no, Jamaica's not, look, Jamaica's a case study. Okay? But the next time you fix your lips, all you Jamaicans in here, I told you to come to the front of the room. Don't you ever fix your lips to tell Black Americans how we should be running things. Don't you ever fix your filthy mouths and tell us what our culture does and doesn't have until you fix that problem. Now let's move on to these Nigerians. The smartest, most educated group of Black people, right? You come to the United States with a very specific reputation. You're proud of it. I'm happy for you. You're always telling us constantly that y'all the most educated, the most accomplished. Your father was a professor, your mother was a professor, all that. You are a king back in your country, the most disciplined, work harder. Somebody type work harder in the chat room. They remind everybody every day that they dominate the universities of medicine and engineering and tech. They say Black Americans are behind because we didn't value education the way they did. That's the image, right? That's the image. This is the one they portray. But here's the problem. Education without integrity is not superiority. And when you look at what Nigerians themselves are admitting about paternity fraud, that image cracks immediately. Look, man, Nigeria is consistently positioned by these Nigerian speakers and these commenters as either the first in Africa or the second globally when it comes to paternity fraud. Which ranking it holds, it's not an outlier, okay? All right, Nigeria has a massive population. I think what they got, 2 million? Can you imagine that? 2 million? And the truth only appears about this paternity fraud when a man goes looking for it himself. Often after years, sometimes decades of emotional and financial investment. And when the truth appears, the numbers are not subtle. Did you hear what they said? The Nigerian lab said up to 30% in general DNA testing. 30%. In Lagos, they said the failure rate is between 60%. In Lagos, the big city over there. And then the other people said 70% of the firstborn children tested weren't the biological children connected to the husband, family. 70%. I mean, you can argue about which number is higher. Okay? You can say, oh, well, it's 60%. Whatever, man. Clearly, y'all have something broken going on. You see? Clearly, you all have some trust issues. And you Nigerians don't get to hide behind your education. You don't get to hide behind your tribe. You don't get to hide behind the fact that you have your own country. Y'all have an issue with reckless cheating over there. You Nigerian men are described as doing exactly what the culture tells you to do. Provide, commit, build, endure, invest, sacrifice, and carry the family forward. And you do that for years. And then the damn foundation collapsed. And it all falls apart during the immigration screening. Or you might have your private suspicion. I mean, hell, you all say you're known for your education, but I think the rest of the world would say you all are known for having a scamming culture. And it starts in the womb. Your mama has scammed your daddy. You come over here and scam the rest of the world, making them think you're Black American. See, deception destroys families. And the fact that this is just coming out, it tells us everything. A family built on falsehood is already damaged. See, disclosure doesn't cause the wound. Revealing it is that's all the disclosure. It just reveals the wound. The wound is already there. And now here's the part you Nigerians need to hear clearly, especially when you start lecturing foundational Black Americans. You can't tell us you're the most educated while presiding over one of the highest documented rates of paternity fraud on the planet. Y'all can't even trust each other. Education is supposed to reduce fraud, not coexist comfortably with it. And if paternity fraud is this widespread, if biological trust is this casually disconnected from responsibility, then the question naturally follows, what else are you all fraudulent about? And see, that's not rhetorical, that is structural. If lineage can be falsified, if verification is shamed, if silence is rewarded, if deception carries no penalty, then the problem is not limited to families. It extends to contracts. It extends to your banking institutions. It extends to your politics. It extends to you all's national reputation. And that's the real issue that foundational Black Americans have, because Nigerians don't come here quietly either. They come here claiming authority. They claim leadership. They claim superiority over people whose lineage was destroyed by force, not obscured by choice. See, you Nigerians, your problem is not your intelligence, it's your accountability. That's your problem. You understand? And until you all are willing to confront the honestly talk about what's really going on, your talks of superiority or having this superior culture is hollow to me. Education without truth is just a decoration. And decoration does not build civilizations. Now let's keep on moving. Let's talk about this year of return. Shout out to all the people from Ghana. The year of return. Okay, everybody was talking about the year of return. Everybody talking about come home. Everybody talking about Mother Africa. No, you don't need to return to Ghana. You need to return that baby to the baby daddy. That's what you need to do. Let's start there. Shout out to Cosman. You all need to return your baby to the baby daddy. See, Ghana likes to present itself as the intellectual, cultural, moral background of blackness, calm, educated, ordered, a place that looks down on the chaos of the diaspora, especially Black Americans. We don't want those Black Americans over here. But when you strip these slogans away, what you see is Ghana is not, it doesn't have the moral clarity it needs to. You see institutional confusion dressed up like tradition. Ghana is treated differently from Jamaica and Nigeria, not because the problem is smaller, but because the Ghanaians are more honest about how the mess is produced. They don't deny paternity fraud. They debate its mechanism. The numbers they debate are insane, however. You know, the most common claim repeated openly on these Ghanaian platforms is that about, again, the same as Nigeria, is about 70% of the firstborn children tested are not biologically connected to the husband. Now, some try to clean that up and say, oh, no, it's really closer to 40% overall. Okay, let's be clear. That's not a correction. That's still catastrophic. You don't get credit for revising a collapse downward. Even the so-called corrected numbers describe a society where non-paternity is not rare. It's not shocking. And it's not even treated as normal. That's par for the course. That's what y'all doing over there. I mean, you heard what she said, womb watching. So marriage is followed immediately by surveillance. Everybody's watching the woman's womb. Family, elders, neighbor, they probably watching her because they know how y'all are. You call it womb watching. If a woman doesn't produce quickly, the assumption is automatic. She's the problem. Male fertility is not questioned. Male testing is resisted. Male biology is resisted. So what happens? Now the woman says, I got to go out and cheat. I got to go out and get another man to get me pregnant. That's the solution. I mean, you can't seek some fertility help somewhere. Nothing. Huh? That's what we doing. You start scheming. Who gonna get you pregnant? Just so you can make sure it's not you. You trying to tell us that's not really fraud. Y'all just call that survival behavior. That's risk management, right? But once that child is born, then the hard lie, that lie hardens in the structure. The husband is assigned fatherhood. And then guess what? The truth is buried. And everyone moves on like nothing happened. That's not culture, family. That's organized silence. And let's talk about the audacity. Okay, let's get that out there. The audacity. You folk telling Black Americans to come home, telling us Africa is more moral than the United States, more grounded, more authentic. But you can tell me to come home when you don't even know whose home the child belongs to. Think about that. That's not spiritual depth. That's administrative chaos. And when we talk about mandatory DNA tests, this is exactly why across these Ghanaian voices across genders and ideology conclude that DNA tests need to be mandatory. You all have a problem. You have a problem. You understand me? So to me, Ghana is not some sort of a romantic return home. I don't want to bring children over there and have children over there, and then I lose my whole lineage because my sons and daughters are out there having sex with people that are not even married. That don't even make sense. Why would I? That's terrible. That's horrible. So before you all start telling Black Americans to return to Africa, return the children to their fathers. Okay? That's what you do. That's what y'all focus on. Now let's go to Uganda. We all over. And this is a special case. You all Uganda shows, let me tell you, Uganda has a very bloody historical memory, and it collides at this particular point with this modern verification, and it shows that they refuse to adapt. Uganda is not new to violence, and this is a country that lived through Idi Amin, a dictator whose rule normalized brutality, paranoia, and unchecked male authority. Tens of thousands of people were unalived. Families disappeared. Power operated without restraint. And that history matters because of this particular conversation we're about to have. Because see, culture doesn't reset just because time passes. And so now, as we bring Uganda into this conversation, I want to give you a live demonstration of what happens when truth moves faster than tradition. Unlike those other countries where paternity fraud is debated online or academically, Uganda experienced a rapid visual collision between DNA testing, DV, and state control. Okay? And the spark was simple. A widely circulated report claimed that a powerful Ugandan businessman known for having multiple wives and mistresses requested paternity tests, and he was found to be the father of only 15 of his 25 children. Now, that's a lot of kids, okay? But he got a 60% batting average, okay? I just want you to understand that he's got 25 kids and only 15 or 60% of his children belong to him. Okay? The family never commented on it and it was never independently verified, but that didn't matter. The story was important because it didn't become important because it was proven. It was important because it was believable, because these other men had their suspicions. This is what's going on in the motherland, family. The same motherland is telling you all that they have this superior culture. This is the BS that's going on over there. But the bottom line is, once that door was cracked, once that got out, there was a demand for paternity tests. It just exploded over there. According to the Uganda's own Minister of Internal Affairs, the request at the government lab increased tenfold. It went from about 10 every day to nearly 100 men wanted paternity tests every day. 100 men, that's 3,000 a month. It's about 36,000 a year. You have private clinics flooded in streets with ads for DNA. DNA testing went from being taboo to a public obsession, like a new dance crave or something overnight. And then that's when the panic started, because the lawmakers didn't argue that the men weren't wrong, because they knew what was going on in their country, or at least they had their suspicions, because it got dangerous. It got too dangerous. And you can imagine why. So their parliamentarians, or what we call congressmen, openly begged the men to stop getting the test, because the results it's not because the results weren't accurate, but it's because it became disruptive. In other words, what they're saying is, one of the officials summarized, it basically said the child born in the house is your child. They had to say that, okay? All right? But the men weren't going for it. All right? Those men went full Idi Amin on those women. You understand what I'm saying? They went full Idi Amin on those women. You understand? It was a tragedy. It wasn't random. They found out that these children weren't theirs. They already come from a society where you can't tell these men that it teaches them that what they do is unquestionable. And they went hands-free. Okay, they went hands-free on those women over there. You understand what I'm saying? And it got so bad, they had to restrict the DNA test. The DNA test was limited to a handful of state-run labs. Officials were saying, nah, we can't do it no more. They are going hands-free on our women. They went straight Idi Amin on their wives. You understand? And so their philosophy was, well, if they don't know, it can't hurt you. You see? That's been the official policy, basically manage ignorance. That's how bad it is in Uganda. 60 to 70% of the tests confirm. Think about it. You got 30,000 tests happening or 3,000 tests happening a year, and 60 to 70% of the tests confirm that you know, or actually the inverse, 30 to 40% of those men weren't the fathers. So 60 to 70% were, but 30 to 40%, that's damn near 4 out of every 10 homes. That's horrible. And this is superior culture. This is the culture that you all want us to. This is Wakanda. This is where we at. Wakanda forever, right? Huh? This is the lineage that you all say that we don't have. Y'all, they always talk about we lost our lineage. We don't know our your dad is, you don't even know who your fathers are. You don't even know who your grandfathers are. Yours is as mixed up as ours is. Look, man, let me explain. Let me go ahead and bring this home, man. The question we have to ask ourselves is, what is the effect? And all my foundational Black American brothers and sisters, come to the front of the room. What is the effect of having all these people over here with their sexual attitudes? Because see, you go to cities like New York, there's a very large population of Black immigrants from the Caribbean and Africa, and they got a high out-of-wedlock birth rate over there. And it's often treated as a general Black American problem. And that framing is misleading. Because different groups bring different social norms with them, especially around sex, relationships, and marriage. In many of those countries, these immigrants come from, marriage is delayed, it's an informal relationship, right? Having children outside the marriage is more socially accepted. And when those norms are brought to the United States and absorbed into Black neighborhoods, the outcomes show up in data, but they're rarely separated by background. And public behavior also reflects these norms. Cultural festival and carnival style events. What do they do there? They celebrate a highly sexualized sort of dancing and adult behavior. It signals a different attitudes towards sex. Foundational Black Americans, historically, we taught through church, we taught through family structure, we taught social restraint. And when these differences are ignored, the entire Black community is blamed for patterns that are not universally ours. The result is foundational Black Americans are judged for cultural behaviors we didn't create, nor do we control. Let's talk about the abortion rate in New York City, where they have a very large Black immigrant population in the nation. Again, you got 8.8 million residents in New York. You got Black New Yorkers make up about 20% of that population, and a substantial portion of that group is born outside the United States, particularly the Caribbean and Africa. New York City has, in this metro area with the 5 boroughs, more or less, largest population of Black immigrants in the country, nearly 800,000 of them. And their descendants, first generation, second generation. So at the same time, the local health data show a big difference in pregnancy outcomes by race. So what does that mean? Huh? In NYC, the number of baby deletions compared to live births is much higher for Black women. In other words, what I'm saying is more babies are deleted than born in New York amongst Black women. The report showed that 850 baby deletions for every 1,000 live births. Do you hear that? So for every 1,000 women to get pregnant, 850 of them are deleted and only 150 Black babies are born. Did you hear that? Think about that. Now flip the script. What are white women doing in New York? For every 1,000 white women to get pregnant, they only have 101 baby deletions. over the entirety of the state of New York. Over a third of the baby deletions are black women, even though they're really a much smaller share of the total population. These numbers, look, don't you think these numbers are influenced by the culture that these people bring with them? Huh? But if you reduce it down to the public debates, they say, oh, well, that's just how those black people are. Hold on a minute. See, when New York becomes a national stage where black immigrants openly judge black American families, their numbers get mixed into a larger story about black culture as a whole. And this creates a problem. See, first, black Americans and black immigrants are not the same group. Our histories, backgrounds, experiences are different. Second, these pregnancies and baby deletions, the numbers are shaped by laws, money, housing, healthcare, and life conditions, okay? Not by whether one group has better morals or better understanding of family values than another. Still, the public talk is this. They use these statistics as a weapon, and they use it against black Americans in general. You see? They never mention the fact that they have this huge population of black immigrants there. And see, that type of talking ignores the real difference between groups, and it turns social problems into cultural blame and ends up hurting very people it is trying to explain it to. Now, let me just go ahead and lay this down with everybody because I ain't gonna be here all night. Y'all nasty. That's the quiet part. Y'all are nasty. And you know, I'm gonna say this with a little humor. Okay. What all of this should tell us is that a lot of these people who've been passed off as having a superior culture is really just a nasty culture. And that was never part of traditional black American life. That's not us. And here's the thing, black Americans have known y'all are nasty for a long time. Somebody type nasty in the chat room. We've known that. And it's not because we learned about your DNA test. But we've learned from what gets celebrated in your so-called superior culture. We didn't grow up grinding on each other in the streets. We didn't build our culture around constant sexual display. Black Americans danced the jitterbug and the two-step. You understand? When I was young, we did the WAP and the Running Man and the Cabbage Patch. We danced with rhythm, not sexual stimulation. Shout out to Molly Artwork. That heavy sexualization came later. And it didn't come from us. It came from the Caribbean and your carnival culture and your soca dancing and your grinding and bumping and dancing, nonstop sexual imagery dressed up as freedom. And then it crossed over into hip hop. And let's be honest, man. Since y'all always got something to say to black folk, let's talk about you. You don't like this, do you? It makes you uncomfortable, don't it? But yet y'all got the unmitigated gall to open your big mouths and say something bad about black folks. Let's talk about hip hop. Who are the artists that push rap in this degenerate direction? They weren't foundational black Americans. They were Uncle Luke from the Caribbean. They were Nicki Minaj from the Caribbean. They were Lil Kim from the Caribbean. Whole wave of immigrant influence took rap away from storytelling and struggle and rhythm and pushed it to shock, sex, and spectacle. Y'all was nasty then, and you're nasty now. Now, at first we laughed. It was fun, it was entertainment. But now we're not laughing anymore. Because when you look at the outcomes, the broken families, the paternity confusion, the baby deletion spikes, the identity collapse, it's clear that what looked like fun was actually a set of values being imported and normalized from these countries. And here's the part that makes this darkly funny for Black Americans. The same people exporting this culture have spent years telling us we have no culture. Somebody type no culture in the chat room. They've been telling us we're broken. These people have been telling us we're dysfunctional, that they're morally superior. Meanwhile, they brought this very behavior that gets blamed on us up here. That's a hell of a joke played on us. You got foundational Black Americans getting blamed for a sexually over-sexualized culture we didn't create. We didn't celebrate it, and we damn sure didn't teach it to our children. Yet somehow we're the ones being told we're uncivilized, we're over-sexual. So yeah, we can laugh a little bit now because it's funny, I guess, but because, I mean, damn, the hypocrisy is obvious. This is about, I'm not hating anybody. I'm just calling out what I see. If you're going to judge foundational Black Americans, you don't get to pretend your exports didn't change the room, family. You're not going to claim superiority. You don't get to hide from the outcomes of what you brought with you from Jamaica and Trinidad and Ghana and Nigeria. And that's why this conversation matters, because Black Americans didn't lose our culture. We've been misrepresented. And now that the data, the history, and the outcomes are lining up, it's time to stop taking the blame and start telling the truth. That's not a joke. That's a lesson. Now, I want everybody in Atlanta, Georgia, to type HEL in the chat room. Because, see, we're going to continue this conversation. I'm going to make it uncomfortable. Let's talk about an open secret nobody likes to say out loud. Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta's reputation today in 2026, not feelings, I'm talking about reputation. How this city is discussed nationally and internationally, Atlanta is now regularly described in the media, entertainment, and nightlife culture as a place of anything goes type behavior. Am I telling the truth? A city where excess is normalized, where boundaries are loose, where identity and experimentation and sexual libertinism and nonstop nightlife are not fringe, but they're part of the brand. People openly call Atlanta the gay capital, the party capital, the hookup capital. And Atlanta didn't start off this way. In the 1960s, Atlanta was about discipline, it was about structure, it was about purpose. In 1965, Atlanta was about marches, not mayhem. It was about strategy. It was about organization. It was about building institutions. That was foundational Black America's Mecca at work. Even in the 1980s, Atlanta was still grounded in church-centered activities. It was family-oriented. It was respectable. You could raise children there without feeling like you were fighting chaos every damn day. That version of Atlanta is gone. It is now nostalgia. You understand? So what changed? What changed was migration. Not migration in the abstract, but who migrated there and from where? And what cultural habits came with them? See, starting in the 1980s, it started picking up speed in the 1990s. What was happening in Atlanta? Atlanta became a major destination for people moving from the East Coast, especially New York, and that part is verifiable. They wanted to move down south. And what followed was a clear cultural shift. Atlanta didn't just grow, it absorbed. And one of the clear signs of that shift is Freaknik. There was no Freaknik in 1965. It didn't exist during the civil rights movement. It didn't come from marches or church basements. Freaknik started in the 1980s as a small little picnic for Black college students. And in the 1990s, it exploded into this massive street festival, nationally known for its excess, its spectacle, its hypersexualized behavior. And that timeline is documented. Freaknik didn't come before the migration surge of all these immigrants coming from overseas to New York. You see? See, those same students went down to Atlanta to attend our elite HBCUs. Schools built for foundational Black Americans by foundational Black Americans for our uplift and our leadership. Morehouse Man, Clark Atlanta, Spelman. Right there in the, was it the AUC, ACU or whatever? And Atlanta University Complex, AUC. But guess what happened? That surrounding culture starts swallowing the mission. What should have been about education and discipline became about nightlife and clout and indulgence. Atlanta shifted from being known as a Black mecca of opportunity to be seen, to being seen as a Black mecca of excess. Image over substance, sex over structure, attention over accountability. And yes, it was them with their nasty selves. You hear how people talk about Atlanta right now? It's not because Atlanta lacks Black excellence. It's always been that. But it's because of the behavioral culture around it has changed. And here's the part that stings. Some of the loudest voices telling Black Americans we have no culture, that's where the dysfunction came from. You see? And yet they have the nerve to tell us we're morally behind. It came from the very populations that helped reshape Atlanta's social environment. And so when people say Atlanta is wild, they're not imagining things. They're responding to a real change. And that change didn't come from the civil rights movement. It didn't come from foundational Black American tradition. Family culture spreads through proximity. And when you live next to behavior long enough, you start copying it. And it's not by force, it's by repetition. Atlanta didn't just change demographically, it changed behaviorally. So when Black Americans say something feels off, that's not hate, that's pattern recognition. Atlanta didn't lose its own way, it was redirected. All these people came down from New York and they had their first generation, second generation sexual behaviors and beliefs from these countries that they come from. They decided to move from New York and the East Coast and they wanted to move down south, and then now look at Atlanta. And look, this is not bitterness. This is history. And history doesn't make, I don't care if you're uncomfortable. Now, I want to talk about this gender war. Let's reframe this. Because see, as far as Black Americans are concerned, and I'm talking about foundational Black Americans, first thing we have to do is stop blaming Black American women for behavior that's not theirs. I'm just saying it, brothers. And for too long, Black American women have been blamed for these scandalous, reckless, irresponsible behavior that comes from completely different cultural norms. This is not our culture. And this is not how Black American women were raised. And the same goes for Black American men. We got to stop blaming Black American men for what we see going on. We can't keep taking blame for choices and attitudes and patterns that are being brought into our communities by Black immigrants and then quietly folded into the numbers for years. For years, people have pointed to New York City's higher baby deletion rate and blame Black women as a whole. No delineation, no separation, no distinction. Foundational Black American women have been lumped in with immigrant women who make up a significant, if not large, vocal share of those statistics. And the problem is simple. These groups are never clearly separated in public discussion. And the people responsible are never honest enough to raise their hands and say, yes, it's our community that plays a role in all this debauchery It's not those foundational Black Americans. Oh no, we brought that here from our country. That's what we do. And until we tell the truth and draw clear lines, foundational Black Americans, we're going to keep being judged for problems that we did not create. And see, that same lie is going to keep being told against us. When you strip away the politeness, the gender war we're seeing right now is not random. And it didn't start here. See, a lot of this conflict comes straight from those cultural practices. Those same cultures that were already broken in their countries, and then they brought that to the United States. And then you got FBA men and women getting dragged into a fight we didn't create. We never used to beef like this before these people came up here. Can you imagine how angry you would be with women if generally speaking in your culture, all the children, it's a question as to who their daddy would be? Can you imagine how angry you would be as a man? What about the women? This is the culture they passing down to their children, this sneaky, shady, fraudulent, anything goes culture, this get the bag culture. Where you think it came from, this hypersexualized culture, no restraint? See, when people start talking honestly, the accusations are direct. Women, look, man, you got women coming from these other countries who are cool with assigning children to the wrong man. And it's not because they're confused, it's because they're choosing stability over truth. And that's a lack of integrity. The father selected based on money, protection, or legal standing, not biology. And this is because these men have this false sense of bravado and machismo. And so they don't even bother questioning paternity. They're not asking for proof. Otherwise, they're considered to be weak. Your doubt is treated like insecurity. And so you forced into silence out of fear of shame. You understand? And these people brought this up here to us. This is what they brought to us. And don't get me wrong, those women didn't have a lot of rights in those countries either. So when they come here to the United States, they show their whole, complete, and entire backside. So why are we still beefing? Why are we still allowing this imported conflict to be our problem? We didn't have these problems. Yeah, we had our own problems. We didn't have these damn problems. We were a unified people before all these foreigners came up here. They're being absorbed into our communities, and suddenly our brothers and sisters are fighting battles that were never part of our original culture. And that's why separating these issues matter. That's why delineation generally matters. Okay? Because if we don't begin to start telling the truth, where these gender conflicts actually originated and why all this animosity popped up, we're going to keep paying the price for problems we didn't create. I bet if you look back at all those talk shows by all those people who used to be on Sally Jesse Raphael and Oprah Winfrey, name the rest. I bet you will find that a lot of those people were either first generation, second generation immigrants, or they lived in cities like New York where that culture was pervasive and those foundational Black Americans just absorbed it. Look, man, you ain't got to like what I say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Let me go ahead and bring this on home. See, there's another layer people don't want to deal with. And let me hold on a minute. Before I get to that, look, are y'all learning something? Did I make you think about something that you wouldn't otherwise have thought about? Did you learn something that I bring to put a piece of the puzzle together to help you understand? Huh? If you learn something, I should earn something. I'm just saying, I know we got 6 super chats in here. You don't owe me anything if you didn't learn nothing, but if you learn something, I should earn something. The other thing is, and the only thing I'm going to require you all to do is help me get to 100,000. Okay? Right now, we are about 300 people short of getting to 91,000 subscribers. So I'm going to need you all to subscribe to the channel right now. I'm going to need you to go ahead and do that. Subscribe to the channel right now. Take your time. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Don't do me wrong. Okay? I've been on here too long. So I need you all to help me do what I need to do. And it might just be vanity numbers. I'm doing it because I want to have 100,000 too. I want to have a little plaque up on the wall. And when I get the little plaque, I'll put it right down there. For y'all to see, it's going to say the Dennis Spurling Podcast. See, I bring to you what you need to hear, and it's timely. I'm not going to sit up here and talk to you all about relationships and, oh yeah, women didn't do that. I'm going to put it in historical context so you can say, well, where did that come from? Well, what about this? So you'll know the right questions to ask. See, I am tired, like many of you, I am sick and tired of foundational Black Americans being burdened down with a brunt of this country's issues and problems. No, we're going to spread this blame around. We're going to give it back to the people who deserve it. You're not going to come up here and crap all over our country and our culture and then say it's our fault. No, we're not going to do that. It's a new day. We're not blame shifting. We're giving people what they deserve. Now, again, I'm going to need you all to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it by now. Another thing is, if you've been involved in a motor vehicle accident in any location in the United States, go ahead and give me a call. You can reach me at 713-229-0770 because clearly, this is not my main source of income. Okay, clearly, I'm not making with 6 super chats. I am not going to make enough money and haven't made enough money to maintain my lifestyle. But if you would like to support me, go ahead and hit me at 713-229-0770. That's the number across the bottom of the screen. You've been involved in a car accident, go ahead and give me a call. All right. If you like a consultation, hit me up at spurlingdennis@gmail.com. I'll talk to you, help you get your business started. I don't mind. Okay. Got 7 super chats. That's cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We need to stop all this beefing. Black American men, Black American women, we need to stop all this. Where'd the beef come from? Why are we even beefing? We don't have these issues. Y'all know who y'all granddaddy was. Y'all know who y'all grandmama was. Y'all know who your great granddaddy was. You know who your kids are. We didn't have these issues. We know who our people are. It wasn't until all these folks start coming up here with these new cultural norms that things got jumbled up with Black folks. That's not us. We stopped being us in the 1990s. That's when we became the sellout culture. We started selling dope to each other, destroying the community. That's never been us. We've always been unified. So where did that come from? Shout out to Alabama Clay. Thank you. So where did that come from? Why do you all of a sudden have all these Black people on the internet beefing with each other? All these Black men and women on these talk shows beefing with each other. Where were those talk shows based? A lot of them were in New York, and a lot of them on the East Coast, and all they had to do is just put a sign out, and you had some child of an immigrant come down there who was going to channel the issues her mothers and aunties had. The good brother Kevin Samuel said a lot of these women who are experiencing these issues never actually experienced them themselves. And that lets me know something that I've always known about women. Women sit around and they have a collective emotional response to another woman's tragedy. She's hurt, they're hurt. They emote together, they talk together, they vibe together. They experience this social emotional recharge or depression, if you will. Little girls sit up and listen to their mamas and their aunties and their stories, and they emote with them and they feel those feelings. And that's how women learn. So when they get out and about, and and that's why women are so oftentimes so much more emotionally, what's the word I'm looking for? They have so much more emotional intelligence, or a higher level of emotional intelligence than men, because even as little girls, they sit around and listen to grown women talk about the issues they had with this man and that man and how they felt. And those little girls absorbed that. So those same little girls in growing up never maybe actually had these experiences, but they say men ain't, they're the same. All men are dogs. Men ain't shit. We ain't never had that issue in the Black American community. Shout out to Lorraine Morrow. And so you end up dealing with a woman who has all this emotional trauma and opinions, and you ain't had nothing to do with it. Shout out to Eddie Washington. And you ladies in here, you know I'm telling the truth. Some of y'all have to cut some of y'all friends off because all they do when they do is call you up and complain, and you go up and down with them. Oh, Lord, you got to cut them off because you can't even focus on your own business. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. So imagine being a little immigrant girl living in New York or living in one of these places, and you hearing all the trauma that your mama and your grandmama and your aunties had to go through with all the men in their family. And here you are in America, never having experienced that. Yet you inherit that emotional burden, and now when your perspective on the life, or your perspective on life about black men is they ain't shit. It's a reason why so many of the so-called, what do they call it? So-called divestors. These are black women who openly denigrate black men and choose to date out their race, specifically targeting black. This is why a lot of these women hate black men. Not because black men did anything to them. Shout out to Yaya's kid. Not because black men did anything to them. It's because of the stories they heard. It's because, and Brother Kevin Samuels talked about this a lot. He said, basically, you're not even talking about your own lived experience. You're too young to have these experiences. You're regurgitating and repeating and reliving what you've heard other women say. So imagine you around a bunch of women from a broken, over-sexualized culture that doesn't have any rights, and their mother and the mothers before them, practice a level of infidelity that is astronomical and gives rise to permanent evidence in children that don't belong to the father. Imagine how your perception would be. And you take that person and put them on a talk show like Sally Jesse Raphael or Oprah Winfrey, where they get a chance to snitch and tell the whole world. And all the world sees is a black woman with a New York accent. And they can't tell the difference between a Jamaican, a Nigerian, a Trinidadian, and a foundational black American woman whose family's from Arkansas. You see how it all gets mixed up in that? And that's where we at, man. But here's the thing. I want to take this a little step further. As I said, it's something that people don't want to deal with. And shout out to everybody who contributed to the super chat. I'm glad y'all learning something. Hit that subscribe button. Help me get there. Take me through there. Take me through there. I need y'all to help take me through there. Take me through there. Let me get to that 100,000. Okay? But here's the thing, family, and I kind of hinted at it. What happens when these people represent us on the world stage? Huh? What happens when these same people represent us on the world stage as black people? We're not the same group. We're not interchangeable. Hell, we're definitely not even culturally identical. Y'all didn't even understand what the hell that Jamaican woman was saying. You definitely didn't understand what that Nigerian woman was saying. Y'all don't even speak the same language. But see, the world doesn't make those distinctions. When a black immigrant speaks and behaves or is exposed for some sort of scandal, it reflects back on all black people, especially black Americans, because we're the ones that sit at the top of the mountain of blackness in the world. And they might not like it, but it's true. We're the most visible. We have the most icons. You understand? Especially if it's something arising in the United States, people assume that they're black American. So when lineage confusion and sexual chaos and family instability become associated with black culture globally, we pay the price, even when we didn't create the behavior. Shout out to Benjamin James. And then there's a second problem, proximity. Shout out to B Hunter, the spot. When people migrate into black American communities and integrate themselves into our neighborhoods, schools or churches and media spaces, mimicry happens. That's just human nature. When you live next to someone long enough, behaviors start to spread. Norms bleed, boundaries blur. And that's how cultures change, not through force, but through repetition. So what I'm saying is this: things that people would normally do in Jamaica or Trinidad, and they were isolated, things that they would do in Ghana, they were normalized elsewhere. They don't stay isolated. They get absorbed. You had a whole bunch of foundational Black Americans living in New York and the East Coast and all these different places. And now they got absorbed. You had a whole bunch of Black Americans. I mean, I'm from Houston, man. I know I've lived in LA, but goddamn it, I've been in H-Town since I was 1 year old off and on. And we didn't have all these Black immigrants here, and H-Town was cool. We certainly didn't have an STD problem. We didn't have all this over-sexualization, but as soon as we get all these immigrants here, something happened. The immigrants brought it, and the local population of Black people absorbed it. And once absorbed it, the entire community gets blamed for outcomes that did not originate with our community, i.e. our foundational Black American community. And this brings us to the question that nobody wants to answer honestly. Where did it come from? Because here's the truth. Black Americans, we didn't have these problems at this scale before 1965. We didn't have an out of wedlock birth rate at this problem, not doing segregation. We didn't have a obesity rate. We didn't have a lack of marriage rate during that discrimination. We had a lot of poverty, but we also had a lot of morality. We had a lot of God, and we also had a whole hell of a lot of unity. We didn't have a lot of mass lineage confusion, not purposefully. We didn't have widespread paternity uncertainty or normalized deviant sexual behavior. It wasn't baked into the culture. So what changed? And I've alluded to this before, and I'm going to tell you again, the Hart-Celler Immigration Act, that law completely reshaped who was allowed to enter the United States and in what numbers. And it opened the door for large-scale immigration from Africa and the Caribbean, Black immigrants with very different family norms and sexual norms and cultural practices. You passport bros know what I'm talking about. You know, goddamn, excuse me, Lord forgive me, you know darn well because you go down there. You know, most of those women you meet in those countries, whether you talk about Ghana or Africa and Nigeria in general, most of those women have children out of wedlock. Most of them have multiple dating partners. And it's the same thing in the Caribbean. You brothers know that. And the brothers who traveled before that, the military brothers knew that. Somebody said Cardi B. Yeah, that's the culture. Cardi B is now the cultural representation of Black women all across America, even though she has no foundational Black American lineage at all. After 1965, the Black population in America was no longer culturally contained. It became mixed. But it didn't have these clear lines, and without honest conversations and without any willingness to separate behaviors by origin. And instead of saying these are different cultures with different norms, Black America just called us Black. Hell, we just called ourselves Black. So when the baby deletion rates rose in New York City, Black American women took the blame. Even though it wasn't foundational Black American women largely, it was just, that's part of the culture. And when family instability increased, Black American men took the blame. When gender war narratives exploded, Black Americans were told, this is your culture, but it wasn't. We didn't import this. We inherited the blame for it. And the people responsible were never asked to raise their hands and say, yes, this comes from us. And that's why this conversation matters, man. Again, this is not about hate, but it's gonna make you have to look at concepts like the black welfare queen. Where was she? What was her lineage? Where was she from? Who are all these people coming up here that all of a sudden didn't have a job or a grandma they can drop them kids off with? And you in the heart of New York. Come to find out you a Bahamian or a Bayesian, and you come up here and got on welfare. It makes sense, right? I mean, you see what these Somalis doing. These people got the largest number of welfare fraud that we've ever seen. I'm not trying to, hey, look, this is about truth and boundaries. I'm not going to let y'all take this heat. Y'all not going to keep shifting this blame off on my brothers and sisters. You're not going to keep us beefing, not in an environment like this. Right now, foundational Black Americans need unity. Shout out to E. King. Foundational Black Americans have always come together in times like this. That's why we together now. You see how quiet we got? Somebody type, we're resting in the chat room. You see, we didn't have a meeting. There was no mass email. We just all of a sudden got quiet. You even had black immigrants saying, no, we need you Black Americans to come out. Nobody understood it because you're not on the same page with us. We got quiet. And what we're not going to do is let you come in with your divisiveness and your different culture, your backstabby culture come in and keep us divided. Now we have an opportunity to analyze. Shout out to E. King. Now we have a real opportunity to sit back and say, well, let's just see what happened. And that's what I'm doing. I'm generating the conversation. We're going to start looking inward and looking outward, and we're going to start to separate the wheat from the chaff and figure out what we need to do to move forward. But most importantly, foundational Black American men and women, we need unity in this time. And whatever your politics are, understand that we are always the highest target on the totem pole. And whatever's going on with Trump, and I appreciate the wonderful things he says about Black, you're warriors. I appreciate what he says. I appreciate him letting, some of these people out of jail are great. I appreciate that. Great, wonderful, fantastic. But we still know that we are the target on the totem pole. And the way we've gotten through these issues, these tumultuous political times, is that we've always unified, and we can't have outsiders coming in causing disunity. You understand? I like the term foundational Black American. It sets us back to when we were the American Negro. It sets us back to when we were freedmen. We knew who we were, and we knew what we had to do together. And whether you like the term FBA or not, it's of no matter to me, because what you say don't matter. That's what you need to understand. You don't run this. You see, some people say, oh, well, that's a xenophobic comment. It don't matter what you think. We're going to do what we have to do to continue to strive and survive, whether you like it or not. And you can always go home, go back to where you came from. But what we know, what we have to do is we have to come together, okay? And see, a people can't survive without clarity, and the culture is not going to be able to survive without boundaries, and the community is not going to survive without truth. We didn't have these issues in 1965 when we fought for our rights and forced America to do what it was supposed to do, did we? And so we need to stop pretending this came from nowhere. That's the conversation that needs to be had. Now, I'm going to take the opportunity to read these super chats and, give a shout out to everybody who came through. If you guys enjoyed the broadcast, man, and I got a little bit more to say, let me know. Let me know by subscribing to the channel. Let me know by hitting the like button. And if you learn something, and only if you learn something, you don't owe me a damn thing if you didn't learn anything. If you learn something, I should earn something. Okay? That's where we at. Now, let's go ahead and read these. Let's start with the, let's do this. Start with the Cash App. Shout out to everybody who contributed to the Cash App. Shout out to Mr. Griffin Sr. Thank you so much. Shout out to Johnny Johnson. Thank you so. Shout out to Toot Rev 211. Thank you to Sheila Gill. Thank you so much. Thank you to Cleveland. Appreciate you, Mr. Turner. Everybody who came through. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. You guys are awesome. All my Cash App people. Appreciate you sincerely. Now, I want to go ahead. Give me a second. Let me see here. We got 14 super chats. Shout out to Downrange. Shout out to you. Thank you so much, Downrange. Thank you for the new membership. Thank you to Urban Eagle. Jalian Simmons, thank you so much for the super sticker. Also, Cosman, man, I'm long overdue for the collection plate, formerly African diastoic. Thank you so much. Malaya Artwork, thank you too for your $2 super sticker. Thank you, Intrinsically Entangled. Thank you so thanks for all you do. Thank you so much, sister. I appreciate you. Alabama, Clay Child B1, immigrants keep the Maury Povich show on the air for years. Yeah, man. When you start really looking at it, they're like, hold on a minute. That ain't even what we do. You see what I'm saying? And it starts making sense. All right. When you start putting things together, like, hold on a minute, this is not even us. Why are we beefing with each other? That's not even normal for Black Americans. We didn't have these issues before. Yeah, you're right. They kept them in business for years, you know, and basically just got rich off of, you know, basically exploiting us, you know. So thank you so much for that comment. Let's see who else we got in here. Lorraine Morrow, thank you. Also, Eddie Washington, 6452 Blizzard King. I got 5 on. Appreciate you, fam. 50 bucks. Good looking out. Yaya's kids, thank you so much for the $50 super sticker. Appreciate you. Also, Benjamin Gaines, keep up the good work. FBA Black Chem Engineering, thank you so much. Also, Hunter, that spot, appreciate you. For the 99-cent super sticker. Ekin one, Dennis, sexual problem today is Hollywood. Yeah, it is, but you got people with an appetite for it. So where's that come? What are they feeding? Intricately Tango, I love it when you say we are resting, baby. We are resting. We are resting. You know, I tell people all the time, I don't tell you how to vote. I tell you vote your interest. And if sitting on the couch is your interest, then you should do that also. Well, you don't hear me? I'm not out here telling you who to vote for. Timothy Bright, what are your times I'm not getting notification? Man, I just come on randomly, baby. I come up here when the spirit hit me. You understand me? That's how Uncle D rolls. I just come through when the spirit hit me. It is what it is. You can catch me when you catch me, but you can always catch me on the rebroadcast. Shout out to everybody on the rebroadcast. All my people on the rebroadcast. What are y'all doing right now? All the truck drivers listening to me on the open road, all the fellas who are listening, all the ladies who are listening to this while you do your little exercise, while you're getting your Pilates on. Shout out to you. But let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. And let me end this without apology, okay? This is never supposed to be polite. It was never about making anybody comfortable. And it damn sure was never about begging for understanding. I don't care if you like what I have to say. You understand? What this is about is drawing lines. And for too long, Black Americans, especially foundational Black Americans, or as we say, and I use that term interchangeably with the American Negro. Okay, I'm talking about the freedmen. I'm talking about the black people who can trace their lineage back. Some of us were slaves. Many of us predated the slavery experience. You understand what I'm saying? I'm talking about foundation of Black America. We've been forced to carry everybody's baggage. Shout out to Leisha Hofgarden. We might get to 20 super chats. All we need is 3 more, and I'll be ready to go. But anyway, like I said, we've been forced to carry everybody else's baggage, their burdens. We've been forced to be accountable for their norms and their dysfunction. We've been held responsible for other people's lives. And then when the numbers go bad, when the outcomes look ugly, when the data starts talking back, suddenly it's our culture on trial. No, all of that stops now. You don't get to come into this country, fold yourself into our population, speak for us on the world stage, and then turn around and judge us while your own house is held together by silence, shame, and avoidance. Did you hear what they said? 70% of the firstborn children in Ghana aren't even the children of the dad. Did you hear that? And it's higher in Nigeria, and Jamaica's right behind it. You don't get to call yourself superior by way of culture while discouraging your own men from knowing who their children are. You don't get to do that. You don't get to, as they say, my little ladies in my office say, you don't get to play in our face. I've heard them tell some people that before. You don't get to call verification and security and call deception tradition. You don't get to lecture Black Americans about family values while actively protecting uncertainty in your own family. That's not our culture. That's just your dysfunction with good PR. And let's be clear, DNA didn't break families. Truth didn't break families. What broke families was lying long enough to believe you'd never be checked. And the age of silence is over. Shout out to Sleepy YJ. Thank you for that. We got 2 more super chats and we'll be at 20. See, what happened with these folks is technology caught up with them. See, Black folks, we used to like romanticize Africa. We had the little African medallions on. And then we got these cell phones and realized these people are shitting in holes in the ground in Ghana. These people, we get the news before CNN and these other channels get it. These people over here unaliving each other because of their religion. This is how far their tribalism has gone. See, technology has caught up. We know what you're doing in Jamaica. We know about you, and we hear it now. The internet has done wonders for Black Americans who very rarely travel for our understanding of what's really going on in the world. See, reality caught up with these people, and now everybody's going to be uncomfortable with our move, and it's good because discomfort is what happens when systems built on assumptions finally meet verification. Black Americans are done absorbing consequences of practices we didn't create, normalize, or defend. We're done letting aggregated data erase real differences. We're done letting people hide behind Black when it's convenient and disappear when accountability shows up. And let me say this as plainly as possible. We did not lose lineage because we were weak. We lost lineage because it was taken from us, because we were put on slave ships. Shout out to Kathy Smith and shout out to Downrange. You understand? Do not confuse that with your cultures, where you all actively choose to go let another man impregnate you, or you as a man choose to impregnate a pregnant woman and let her run off with your baby and another man raise it. That's less than a man to me. You all chose that uncertainty. You all say Black Americans don't know who our ancestors are. You don't know who your daddy is. And you call that a superior culture? That's your tradition. What we had to go through and what you've imposed on yourself is not the same thing. So let's move forward. We are separating the record. We're naming the patterns. And we're done being quiet and polite. Again, this is not hate. It's just allotting responsibility. Black America is done carrying everybody else's mess. And that's about all I got to say about this. This is Uncle D, also known as Dennis Spurling. I appreciate y'all coming through here, man. I got 20 super chats. I got this beautiful group of people who came through. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Help me get to 100,000. I need 300 people to subscribe to the channel so I can get to 91,000. Please do that now. I certainly would appreciate that. And, you know, as I always say, man, I come from a place of love, but I'd be less than a man if I didn't use my intelligence and my wisdom and my experience to defend my own people. I love my people as much as you all love your people. And there might be some differences between us. Yeah, maybe, you know, we don't have our own country, but hell, you know what? This is our country. So what are you talking about? We may not be a black dominated country, but we dominate the culture of the country that we in. What does that say about us? It says we are an amazing people. And y'all gonna learn to respect it. Other than that, this is Uncle D. I love you guys. And as I always said this time, I'm out.
Dennis Spurling Podcast. Hit the like button, subscribe.